everybody. This video is going to be discussing the dilemma of high-functioning depression. It's also known as dysthymia, and this is often shown in cases where individuals do experience depression, but unbeknownst to others, they're actually fighting depression because of the fact that they will typically appear on the surface level as either overachieving or they will just be really good at masking that they're going through it at all. And it'll make people have the idea that they're all right all the time. And this is something that does actually resonate with me, and I want to make sure that I can empathize with you all. If you click this video, I'm sure that you already know where this is going. Reason being is because I do go through depressive episodes, and there are many moments where when I'm feeling that the most, I'll actually act even bubblier so that way I don't concern others, and to ensure that I don't make others feel as badly as I may in the inside. And I wanted to make this video to raise awareness and open up the space for anybody else who feels that they are highly functioning when they go through depression. Now, the actual definition of it, to be specific, is to describe a type of depression in which a person maintains normal day-to-day functioning even though they're experiencing depressive symptoms. They will constantly feel hopeless about the future, yet continue to meet family, work experiences, love experiences, friends. They will meet their day-to-day demands. They'll meet their routines. They'll go ahead and they'll make their bed. They'll rent that book. They'll do a lot of those things that appear functioning on the surface level. The hidden nature of these symptoms does make it difficult to seek help and to manage high-fighting depression because of that. But those symptoms are overshadowed by the typical functioning of other areas in their life. 8.4% of adults in the United States endure at least one major depressive episode annually. Now, when it comes to specifically the high-functioning depression, that percentage is actually 1.5% annually. And the catch-22 of high-functioning depression is that people who do go through it often believe that since they can push through their sadness, they can push through their emotions, they can push through their lethargy, they are barely missing a step in it all, it would be indulgent to seek help, or it would be a sense of completely surrendering into it if they seek help. But the fact of the matter is that thought needs to be challenged, and I'm telling that to myself too. This is nothing to be fighting or resisting. It's something to lean into and graciously be gentle with yourself. A lot of it is overcome by ensuring that we break the barriers of mental health stigma, which we can be aware of everything out there. I have discussed before that mental health stigma typically is a wall that does block a lot of support, that does block a lot of progress in the mental health field. But sometimes we're talking about the stigma within ourselves, the hardwiring, the automatic subconscious responses to ourselves. So sometimes it can even be seen from like a really early age. Maybe you often invalidated yourself when you were going through any sort of mood, or it was just normalized in society at that point in time where, oh, this person's just being an angsty teenager, or, oh, they're just being this. And it's like, maybe at that stage and point in your life, that was when you were barely exuberating symptoms that you may be prone to depression. And because you dismiss yourself then, or along with the norms of society at that point in time, it becomes automatic to immediately dismiss yourselves. And in a sense where you're not even conscious that you're doing it, it's like a sort of impulse or instinct that takes over. And in this circumstances too, sometimes it's because depression is typically viewed to hinder productivity. Depression is typically viewed as something to be ashamed of. It's typically viewed as burdensome for the person experiencing it, and they therefore do not want to pass that on to somebody else because of the way that they assess themselves as they go through it. They don't want to bother anybody, etc. You know, there's so many different elements and so many different layers just depending on whatever walk of life that person has or however that person does see and assess themselves through day-to-day life. Therapy, talk therapy, journaling, all of those things can actually really help a lot because it allows the individual to identify the triggers and the negative thought trains that start spiraling. And they're therefore better able to realize, oh, this is what it looks like when it's starting to get to this point. This is what happens. And typically that is going to be, in someone highly functioning, it's going to be displayed as lethargy. So lethargy is a signal of a potential oncoming depressive episode. It's a sudden fatigue, exhaustion beyond belief, inexplicable exhaustion to the point where one may think that they're actually getting sick, like physically sick from a cold or something of that related nature. Another major trigger is sometimes physical health too, to really reel in and allow the individual to see if they really need to hone into their physical needs like sleep, eating habits, and just anything that may replicate or mimic physical symptoms of any other sort of ailment or illness. And it typically, in high-functioning anxiety individuals, statistically, I have gone over seasonal affective disorder before, correct? And we all know that usually seasonal affective disorder is typically in the winter. With people that have high-functioning anxiety, it actually affects them more during the summer than it would during the winter. Along with the other typical modes of treatment that would usually be accompanied in general depression, in high-functioning depression, a lot of things that can help too is while meditation is very helpful, it's one of those things that one can lean on. And at the same time, in this case, when it comes to somebody with high-functioning depression, distraction is typically something that's a very thin line to go through because oftentimes that individual will be pushing themselves more, and distraction needs to be carefully channeled into a certain area. So it's very, very important for that productivity to not reach that very, very thin line to cross over into burnout. It's very important to just channel the energy into something that can be supportive, because this individual will be so prone to wanting to leap into action more so than go in with an approach that won't add more to their plates, right? So, I mean, I understand this a lot, and I'm sure you all do too. It'll be seen in wanting to even go into modes of rescue with certain things, into wanting to take care of everything everywhere all at once. And it's very important that it gets channeled into other realms like therapy, exercising, ensuring that you allow yourself to sleep well, that you allow yourself to sleep more than average, and realize that the fatigue is a side effect and it's not going to be a hindrance, just as long as it's carefully balanced, and finding ways to have a sort of circuit. What helps the most, and this is the key to it all, is acceptance. Acceptance that there is a depressive episode going on. Being gentle with yourself while this episode is going on. And while busyness can combat the sadness, it's to allow yourself permission to slow down. Allow yourself that permission to nurture yourself. Allow yourself to be at the receiving end of the things that you want to give for a little bit. And just to really make sure that you no longer hide that part of yourself, that you no longer feel the need to hide it, and just allow yourself to be. Give yourself the grace to just be, and allow yourself to be supported by people who want to support you. That's key as well in it all, and that goes hand in hand with acceptance. And just continuing to help yourself and show up for yourself amidst any sort of episode that arises, and even when that depressive episode leaves, just to ensure that while you're going through any process of life, you're not at the mercy of the tricks that your mind can play on you when negative thoughts come into play that want to say that you're worthless, for example, that you're no good, that no one cares, that you're unworthy, that, you know, those thoughts can really creep in, and it's really important to be there for yourself. It's really important to constantly do that, even on the sunny days too, and just to ensure that you build a stronger foundation to show up and to just really, really return back to who you are, and being able to be your best advocate at that point too, and be better prepared for whenever these do arise. So I hope that this video has been helpful. I know it's like a lesser discussed theme because oftentimes we think of mental health, we think of different episodes in someone's life that it needs to be very obvious, it needs to be textbook, it needs to be the way it's typically displayed in movies, when all in all, high functioning versions of these things are also there, and they really mask those symptoms too. So this is more so for the individual that knows that they're doing the masking. And it's also there for the individuals who are around somebody who masks their symptoms or their episodes, to better be aware of, okay, this person is going through something right now, they're masking, let me just be there. And a way for you to say, oh, I'm catching myself masking, I'm catching myself trying to fight that episode, let me show up and be there. So it can be better coped with. I hope this video has served you well, and I hope you have a great mental health day. Thank you.